Welcome to beautiful Birmingham, Alabama for the Lockhart Phillips USA Formula Xtreme Series and the Repsol Lubricants AMA Superstock Series. It's round 2 from Barber Motorsports Park. I'm Brian Drebber along with Fast Freddy Spencer. Let's go down to the third member of our broadcast team for the Progressive Direct pre-race report. Here's Greg White.
Thanks, Brian. Down here on pit lane, we got a lot of action going on before this Formula Xtreme race, and we're down here with Jason DiSalvo. Puts his motorcycle on the front row. Jason, a lot of pole positions for you, but right now the question looms: what is your race strategy?
I would go ahead and say that my race strategy is always the same, but then some would say, well, you better change it up. It's really, it is. After the first 5 laps, that's going to dictate how your race is going to go. So, we'll see today after the first 5 laps where everybody is. We'll see after the first lap. Hey, you guys will see the whole time watching at home on TV. So.
All right, now obviously Jason's deep in race strategy thought right now, so we'll let him get back to racing. Brian?
All right, well, we look down as the umbrellas are popping out here. We had a little Mother Nature challenge earlier in the week, but let's take a look at the track here at Barber Motorsports Park. It's a good one.
Brian, 2.3 mile, 15-turn circuit, a lot of elevation changes, passing going down into turn 1. You'll see a lot of passing down the hill under braking into turn 4. One line through this section, and then the fastest part of the racetrack down 8, 9 through turn 10, 11. This racetrack really requires a lot of setup, get the balance on this motorcycle correctly, and it should be a great race today.
I'll take a look at the starting grid. You have met Jason DiSalvo, who is sort of Mr. Pole Position. Every time he takes to the track, he seems to be able to throw in that fast lap that puts him in the #1 starting spot. Next to him is the runner-up from the Daytona 200. That was the beginning of the Formula Xtreme season here, and it's Josh Hayes. Eric Bostrom on the factory Yamaha, number 32. He'll start from the 3rd position looking for a win, too. And Aaron Gobert on the Arian Honda. They'll be carrying the colors for Honda in Formula Xtreme.
Let's take a look here at the Progressive Direct on board with Josh Hayes. You know, Josh really showed what he could do at Daytona. Great ride for him, got 2nd position. And he feels like he has the speed, and certainly he has the confidence to be able to handle what it needs to do. Now let's go down to Greg White.
As the bikes prepare to go racing here, I want to make a note. Number 69 is Danny Eslick. Now, during the Daytona broadcast, I mentioned that Danny was on Pirelli tires. Danny came to me and said that is not true. I messed up, and I did. He's actually on Dunlop tires, and he's on tires that are equal to the 4 on the front row. So here we go. It's time to go racing here in Formula Xtreme. Jason DiSalvo from pole. Can he get himself a great start and get into turn 1 first? We're getting ready to find out right now.
It looked like Josh Hayes with the whole shot on the Arian Honda. Again, the Arian riders are the ones carrying the flag for Honda that has dominated this class from the days when it was a 1,000cc class right on through the most recent with Miguel Duhamel and Jake Zemke. The rest of our starting grid scrolling across the top of the screen with the faces, names, and the makes of motorcycles that everyone is starting out on here. And Greg talked about tires, and it's a little hard to keep up with sometimes, but we've got a really wonderful tire war going on here with all 3 of the major brands. Dunlop, of course, across the front row, Pirelli, Michelin, and it is Josh Hayes out in front right now on the racetrack. And there is the number 4 with his teammate Aaron Gobert, number 96, right behind him. Greg?
Huge blow to Josh Hayes' championship hopes right now. He has to come in for a stop-and-go penalty. AMA saying he jumped the start, so could be a couple laps here. Josh is going to try to go as fast as he can, but he's going to have to come in pit lane, 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, and then get out.
Well, that's certainly disappointing for him. Let's take a look here what Josh Hayes did at the start, and pay attention to the front wheel. It cannot leave that box before the light goes. You can see he jumped, he realized it, tried to catch it, but once the wheel comes out of that box, it crosses that white line, it's over. And now he's going to have to come in. He's going to be getting this lap that shows he's going to have to come in for the penalty. And what a devastating blow to his chances, obviously, to win the race today.
Well, it appeared as though the 2 riders nearer to the camera moved at about the same time. Josh, however, according to the officials, was the one, and maybe it was because it wheelied a little bit. The wheel jumped up in the air as well as moving forward. So in any case, Josh Hayes with a stop-and-go penalty. That is, as Greg said, going to be really tough to overcome Of course, if he was leading the championship with one race to go in the season, it would be much more devastating. We're on board with the progressive direct camera there of Josh Hayes. Looking back to number 40, Jason DiSalvo filling up the screen. Flaring in the sunshine there. DiSalvo all over the back tire of race leader Josh Hayes, who will be race leader no more when he comes in to serve his penalty.
And what a benefit for Jason DiSalvo. Josh Hayes was the rider closest to him in qualifying. And now with him going to have to come in and do the stop and go, it certainly could make the race a lot easier for Jason. Aaron Gobert, who was in second position a lap or two earlier, of course, Jason got by him. And now Jason's got his head down, and not sure if Jason knows at this point that Josh is going to have to come in and do that stop and go penalty. Of course, probably doesn't, but he'll know pretty soon when Josh goes off into pit lane.
Well, they'll both come around
exactly
and
right
see
here.
the signal, and there they go. Josh Hayes going off the pit lane side, and Jason DiSalvo will continue.
It doesn't look like that Josh Hayes came by this time.
He acknowledged, however, no, here he is. He's still racing out there. Both of them have seen the signal board from the officials, no doubt. But a little bit of dueling going on nevertheless. Once again, Josh Hayes moves in front of Jason DiSalvo, who must be thinking to himself, if he saw the signal, wait a minute, the guy's supposed to pull off the track. What's going on here?
Well, sometimes what can happen this early in the race is the rider, really doesn't pay attention that much to his board or possibly another signal that he's been given to come in, but he has a certain amount of time that he needs to come in before he gets absolutely disqualified in the race.
They do have a window of a couple of laps in order to serve that penalty. The officials give them the benefit of the doubt. They keep signaling, and we'll see what happens. Josh Hayes is the leader right now. Speed's coverage of AMA Road Racing from Birmingham is brought to you by Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters, and by Progressive Direct. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or visit progressive.com for a free quote. Still watching the onboard camera of Josh Hayes with Jason DiSalvo right behind him. He's still out there on the racetrack, Greg White.
Yeah, just to give you an update, there's a new camera system that's been instituted by AMA Pro Racing, and basically what it does is it shoots the starting grid positions. So they're reviewing the tape right now. They want to make sure for certain, because of this new camera system, that they're doing the right thing. So as of this moment, Josh has not been signaled that he needs to come in for a stop and go penalty. The AMA is reviewing the tapes. Once we give you the update, we will let you know. Initial reports were he did jump, but they're double checking. They don't want to be a factor in this championship if they're wrong.
So Josh Hayes continues to lead Jason DiSalvo, unaware of any of this going on out there among the officials, and certainly his crew won't signal him anything until it's real.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why he didn't see a signal, because it wasn't a signal to come in. He's out there doing what he needs to do. Jason DiSalvo looking up the inside. A rider right behind him, though, is Kurtis Roberts, who's in third position. What a great ride for him coming back this year. He didn't have a ride in the championship, in any championship. He tested for this team a few weeks ago. Michael Barnes, of course, got hurt and was not able to participate. But what a great ride so far for Kurtis Roberts.
On the M4 MGO Suzuki team, Pirelli tires. Yes, he tested here at Barber Motorsports Park for John Ulrich's team Hammer, known as M4 MGO. And was very, very impressive, not only in his ability to ride the motorcycle, which we know is good, but his ability to talk to the mechanics, to feedback, to get the bike set up on such short notice for himself. And now, while Mike Barnes is present and racing this weekend, it's Kurtis Roberts who's running in the Formula Extreme class, right, and Barney will run in Supersport.
And that's kind of how it started, is giving Kurtis Roberts this opportunity.
Ooh, look at this great duel here.
And Jason DiSalvo now taking the lead over Josh Hayes again. And Josh Hayes has been so strong coming out of the last corner down the front straightaway, able to repass Jason on the brakes. At Daytona, the Hondas found a little extra power. You could see that in the 200-mile race there in the Formula Extreme race. And it looks like it's bleeding over here. The Aaron Racing Honda of Josh Hayes. Jason has been very quick in practice, of course, in qualifying. As we said earlier, Josh Hayes, the only rider that's close enough to really give Jason a battle. But like I said, Kurtis Roberts really picking up the pace. And this battle has certainly helped him, because the lap times a little slower when you're racing somebody. You're not able to run quite the pace that you can by yourself. But this passing back and forth has allowed Kurtis to be able to close the gap at 2/10 a lap.
So it is a three-way fight right now among Josh Hayes, the leader, on his Honda, Jason DiSalvo on his Yamaha, and Kurtis Roberts on the new GSXR 600 Suzuki. So three guys have pulled away from the field. It's another couple of seconds back to Aaron Gilbert, and another couple of seconds back from that to fifth place Danny Eslick on the Matsushima Performance Technology motorcycle, the number 69, that of course had such a great run at Daytona a couple of years ago that earned him a spot on this squad, and or last season rather, that earned him a spot here and as a favored son on that team. Let's go down to Greg White for an update on the stop and go situation.
Just to give you a final update, Josh Hayes will not be penalized with a stop and go. So the AMA's review system paying dividends for the Arian Honda team and Josh Hayes at this point. They determined he did not get out of the box. He's safe in this race. This is a battle for 1-2 between, well, 1-2-3 really, between Josh, Jason DiSalvo, and Kurtis Roberts. Impressive. Great Formula Extreme action.
Jason DiSalvo looking up the inside, going down into the hairpin, a place where he's kind of shown a wheel a few times to try to make the pass. The area of this racetrack that Jason has been strong in is that last segment, the third segment. But look at the power of Josh Hayes coming up the outside, able to repass over Jason DiSalvo.
Into a little bit of traffic, Danny Eslick's teammate Jeremiah Johnson on number 64 Matsushima bike, and there's Josh Hayes pit board. Yes, P1 plus 0. That's the story. Tonight, catch an all-new Two-Wheel Tuesday on Speed. Greg White keeps you in the loop with all the latest motorcycle news, new equipment features, and your favorite rider profiles. Keep in the groove and out of the hay bales with Two-Wheel Tuesday tonight, 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Jason DiSalvo out in front in this race. The pole sitter has edged away from the number 2 man, and here's how he did it.
Let's take a look here at the pass as they're coming up here. Jason got a great drive out of the previous corner. Had the inside line on the brakes. Not allowed Josh to actually turn the bike in and made the pass. And what we've seen is Jason has picked up the pace. Josh has not really slowed down that much. It's just that Jason has actually dropped his time down. His last 3 laps have been the quickest he's run all race.
And for Josh Hayes, who seemed to have a little bit of horsepower advantage and acceleration advantage, that advantage has gone completely away as DiSalvo, as you say, has picked up the pace, and Josh has not been able to match it nor make up ground on the gas that he was losing elsewhere, perhaps.
And now let's take a look here at the replay of the start and the confusion with that. And one of the things that we have to understand is when we're looking at this photo here, you know, watching Josh Hayes before they drop the green light, we cannot see that. It looks like Josh moved. He timed it pretty much perfectly. The front end picked up. He accelerated away. And to the AMA's credit, they actually reviewed the tape before making a rash decision, which is great for Josh and the Aaron Racing team, and provided us a good race when Josh was up there. So, of course, we apologize for that. We couldn't see the lights going along with what the AMA said was going to happen. But again, the key there is the decision, the rash decision was not made, which really could have strongly affected the results of this race.
And we always love win-win situations, and that was the truth. The AMA wins by virtue of, as you say, making a little more cautious decision. Here's Alistair Seeley, a young Irish rider with Irish Bike sponsorship, which is a magazine. It's actually a periodical magazine about motorcycle racing. And the Irish Bike entry of number 312, Alistair Seeley, who had such a great run at Daytona this year. He's out there running hard on his Team Celtic sponsored machine. And going over it, interviewing or even carrying on a conversation with those fellas is a little challenging because, you know, I think maybe when an Irishman comes to America, like for instance, one of the Yamaha mechanics, Seamus Taft, you can sort of understand him. His accent goes away, but when they all feed on each other, it's confusing as it can be trying to hear those fellas, but it's fun. Alistair Seeley on the 312 along with the 481, and that is Ryan Andrews, young man on the Rockwall Honda entry there.
Well, you know, all the riders in front of this group here is pretty much either factory teams or, of course, factory supported teams. And it's always great when you have the privateer guys going out and battling different machines, different tire combinations, and really trying to get that exposure. For them, getting on TV is great. You know, getting the opportunity to show what they can do.
Eric Wood, a veteran there on the number 36 Hooters entry. Ryan Ellaby, that's Larry Pegram's teammate on a Honda. And Brian Stokes out there on a Formula Extreme bike. So those guys are having their little battle while we look at the leaders. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park, and Jason DiSalvo on his factory Yamaha R6 out front right now. The Formula Extreme entry this year by Yamaha has really lightened up and brightened up this class tremendously. It's going to be a much deeper battle. You can't ask for better racing than we had last season between Miguel Duhamel and Jake Zemke, but there's going to be more of it this year with so much more involvement. And while Jason DiSalvo continues without any issues at all, there is a young rider who did have a problem, and there's Jim DiSalvo. Rap Master Jimmy D there running the show down there in the pits along with Jason's girlfriend, and there's Jason.
Well, you know, Jason really learned a lot from, of course, Daytona. It looked like he had everybody covered in certainly the Superstock class, and then got into the battle there, and his whole strategy, of course, for here was to go out and do exactly what he needed to do. Of course, with Nathan Hester, we had a crash on his Yamaha. Let's take a replay of the look here. As he's coming down on the brakes, the bike gets a little sideways, which is okay. He recovers it, saves it, and then it snaps around right here. And there's no way. He's trying to get a stop, throws him over the handlebars. Head is crashing down through the gravel trap.
Idaho rider Nathan
Hester. Yeah, that's obviously very bad.
Tracking him from the Birmingham airport there. He got some hang time for sure on that one. A high side, a low side that turned into a high side.
Yeah,
wow.
He was trying to save it there. We're, of course, running off the racetrack. We'll have a report on that as soon as we can on his condition. But back up front with Jason DiSalvo, a very smart race. He picked up the pace there. Of course, Josh looked like he may have had something going on, but actually Jason, he ran the quickest laps of the race on lap 10, 11, and he picked up the pace when he needed to, and it looks like he's got everything under control.
And for Josh Hayes, who maintained the pace for a while and now has slowed down a little bit, it could have just been a case of, I can't go that fast. I'm going to settle in here, hang on, take another runner-up position in the Formula Extreme Championship, and live to fight another day. So he has about 5-6 seconds back to third place Kurtis Roberts, just as Jason DiSalvo has now 6.5 seconds to second place Josh Hayes.
We're going through this final lap for Jason. This is certainly good. He's taking a look back there. It'd be great for him to go out, and speed has never been an issue, to go out and just control the race like this. It looked like he had it pretty much under control once he got back around Josh and was able to pull away and to get that victory out of the way in Formula Extreme and do exactly what he needed to do today.
Jason DiSalvo not only putting the one good lap together that earned him the pole position, but now 17 good laps in a row. He can afford to sit up, take it easy, and do a nice leisurely cross of the finish line in front of Bobby Lemming of the AMA, and Josh Hayes will come in to finish second. Nice run for Jason DiSalvo, earning his first victory in the Formula Extreme class to go along with those he's already earned in Superstock and Supersport. Jason DiSalvo, the factory Yamaha team. Nice win here at Barber Motorsports Park. Let's go to Greg White.
Jeff Myers, congratulations, a great win. Boy, it was a race early on, wasn't it? Kind of a heart-pumping action.
Yeah, it really was, and had me worried for a little while there. Josh kept us honest, and it was a lot of fun to watch, and we've been working really hard for this. I know the whole team has, and it's nice to finally come away with a victory. You know, Daytona was a little bit of an upset for us, so this feels real good.
Congratulations, let's get the victory lane.
Yeah, thank you, man. See you there.
Thanks, Greg. Take a look at the results here. Jason DiSalvo at the top of the table. Josh Hayes second. Kurtis Roberts in his first ride for the M4M Go team in third position. And Aaron Gobert of the Arian Honda team. Danny Eslick rounding out the top 5. Ryan Ellaby on the Larry Pegram Honda rounding out the top 10, just behind Blake Young and Brian Stokes. And here we see the second 10 with Nicky Moore on top. Down at the bottom here, we see a couple of familiar names. Armando Ferrer, Victor Chirinos. They have a new Citgo sponsorship this year and a nice big hauler, so we're looking for better things out of those guys out of Venezuela. And the last bike running was Mike Hale on the Buell, Nathan Hester with his unfortunate spill there, and Alistair Seeley with an engine problem. Likewise, Eric Bostrom on the number 32 factory Yamaha teammate to winner Jason DiSalvo. Let's go down to Greg again.
Made our way to victory lane here, and Jason DiSalvo, who's celebrating victory. Go ahead and put the hat on, buddy. Jason, congratulations. The early part of the race, Josh was right there battling you, huh?
Yeah, it was a good race with Josh at the beginning. It was good to see, the satellite teams getting up there and mixing up with the factories and making it an exciting race. And then, was it Kurtis coming from behind?
No, it was Josh still.
No, there was someone.
Oh, in third place. Yeah, Kurtis was coming, yeah.
Yeah, when Kurtis started coming, I was like, okay, it's time to go. And it was actually, I had to pass Josh in a place where I don't really like to pass. I was passed there last year in the Superstock race, and it was just kind of hairy on that downhill little section. And I knew I was strong in the last split. We talked about that earlier this weekend. Put it together, then put some more laps together, and ran away with the win.
All right, congratulations, Jason DiSalvo, your winner here in Formula Xtreme.
Well, we'll take a look at the points here, which of course reflect only the 2 races now. Jason DiSalvo with his runner-up finish at Daytona and his win here leads Josh Hayes by a scant 3 points. Aaron Gobert, Eric Wood, and Blake Young on the MPT Matsushima team there. Young rider rounding out the top 5 in points. So we're going to take a pause here from Barber Motorsports Park. But when we come back, the race winner from Formula Xtreme has earned his 10th pole position in a row in the Repsol Lubricants Superstock class. That's next. Tonight on Speed, it's build or bust. Have you ever dreamed of riding a custom chopper? How about building it? Tune in as one Orange County amateur gets 30 days to build his dream bike. It's time to build or bust. Tonight, 10 Eastern on Speed. Let's get right down to the starting grid for our Progressive Direct pre-race report and Greg White.
Fresh off a Formula Xtreme victory, another pole position here at Barber. Jason DiSalvo, different motorcycle, same racetrack. Let's talk race strategy for this particular one. How do you think it's going to play out, Jason?
Well, the Formula Xtreme race played out just exactly how I wanted it to. This is a different bike and a different group of riders we're going up here, so we're starting from the same position. We'd like to have the same result, and I think, again, that 5-lap thing, after 5 laps, we'll see how everything's panned out, and that'll determine my race strategy.
Real quick, 600 to 1,000. How much more effort, physically does this motorcycle take to get around this track?
Well, the Formula Xtreme bike is definitely a better handling bike, not just because it's lighter and it's a 600, but it's the full FX package, which is basically a mini super bike. This thing is more of a production-based motorcycle. It's heavier, it's got a lot more power, so it takes quite a bit more effort. And it's a warm one out here. It's kind of humid, so I think endurance might play a role, but I'm feeling good, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, that's Jason DiSalvo trying to go for his second win at Barber this weekend from pole. Brian?
All right, let's take a look at the starting grid. Now you've met the pole sitter and his fiancée Cassie standing there next to him.
And on the pole, Jason DiSalvo on the Yamaha at a 126.083. He had the pole at Daytona, wasn't able to win that race because his teammate, Jamie Hacking, who's next to him, did win that race. A great battle, and Brian, I expect a great one today. Aaron Yates on the Yoshimura Suzuki would certainly be up there, will be up there in the mix. And then the outside the front row, young kid Jeff May, who is improving each and every year and is somebody to watch.
Carrying our onboard camera from the outside of row number 2 will be Aaron Gobert on the Arian Racing Honda number 96. And now let's go back down to Greg White for our last-minute report here.
I just want to talk about number 43, Jason DiSalvo on the Jordan Motorsports Suzuki GSX-R 1000. Jason Pridmore, talk to Jason DiSalvo. Listen to me. Jason Pridmore is the guy I'm talking about. Pridmore has done some excellent lap times this morning. They found some setup issues with that motorcycle. They've corrected them, and I predict Jason Pridmore is not going to finish 16th. He'll be more in the mix, possibly for the race win. We'll have to see. 16th to the front, that's a lot of ground to make up. Jason DiSalvo's on pole. His teammate Jamie Hacking pulled off some really fast lap times this morning in practice. Any one of these guys in the front 2 rows could win this race. We're going to find out how it goes in AMA Superstock right now.
Jamie Hacking with the whole shot over pole sitter Jason DiSalvo. Somebody with an off-track excursion back through the gravel trap from deep in the field. And as we're on board with Aaron Gobert, looking forward at a half a dozen or more riders, including some of those Jordan Motorsports entries. Very easy to spot with the all-white leathers. The rest of the starting grid, by the way, scrolling across the top of the screen, we saw the front row as we head around the racetrack now on lap number 1.
Well, this should be interesting here with Jamie Hackett and Jason DiSalvo going after each other just like they did in round 1 at Daytona. As they come through this first lap, Jeff May in 3rd position, and then Aaron Yates. So 2 Yamahas and 2 Suzukis.
Matt Lynn, the rider that went off the track, he had a problem in Superbike practice, and they've been trying to get his bike sorted, of course, since that. He had a crash up there at the top of the Museum Hill, but he's back and in the chase. He qualified in 13th position, but he's not going to finish there. So here is Jamie Hacking along with Jason DiSalvo. Jeff May on the M4 MGO machine, Pirelli tires. He's kind of the lead dog for the Pirelli effort out here, as most of the riders, of course, have been and are on Dunlop tires, the dominant tire brand. But we've been talking about tire war for a couple of years, and Jeff May is the one taking it to him right now, 1 spot ahead of the defending Superstock champion Aaron Yates on the new GSXR 600 as well.
For the first 2 riders, and of course Jeff May, who's in 3rd position, the key is to not let him get away. As you're looking there at Aaron Yates and Eric Bostrom, who had a clutch problem at Daytona, which knocked him out of the race. He's brought on to the Yamaha team this year to race in Form Extreme and Superstock, along with the 2 other factory Yamaha riders of Jamie Hackett and Jason DiSalvo. But for these 3 riders, they would like nothing better, Brian, than to get away from this pack of other riders, so it's just a 2 or 3 man battle. Passing around this racetrack is difficult, a lot of elevation changes. The riders are constantly working on trying to get the setup right, getting that front grip, the direction change that you want, but not lose any of the side grip. The riders all weekend and across the board have been talking about side grip issues, being able to get the power to the ground, especially on a big Superstock bike like they're running here today, these 1,000cc machines, as well as, of course, the Big Daddy, the Superbikes.
Well, they may want to get away, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen, because Aaron Yates is leading a charge along with Eric Bostrom, Josh Hayes, Steve Rapp, and the whole pack of riders here. Yes, the first lap resulted in a small gap between 3rd and 4th, but that gap is getting smaller, and much smaller, in fact, as they come onto the front straightaway. A little bit of a draft. They'll be able to pick up the sniff of a draft here and start to close some ground. Aaron Yates, the defending champion in the class, and a man who knows how to win here at Barber Motorsports Park. He was the first one really to turn a wheel in anger at this track when it opened up and it was first paved. He came out here and did a little bit of testing, so to speak, just to let him know what he thought. And Aaron Yates is leading the group in 4th spot, Greg.
Just to add to Aaron Yates, earlier today in practice for Superstock, Aaron went out on a tire that had somewhere around 16 to 18 laps on it and set the fastest time in practice. So Aaron's very well versed on what the tires are going to feel like late in the race, and he's confident if he can stay with these lead guys that he has a chance of winning this one.
You know, that's so important, Greg, that you do that, because what that showed Aaron is what the tire and the bike's going to work like at the end of the race. And so many times when riders are setting up machines, they go out and they work with brand new tires when you got the most grip. But if your bike works well, and obviously like this morning, he put in that quick lap on used tires, that certainly sets him up well for toward the end of the race.
So the lead rider spreading out just a little bit as we take a look here sort of at the tail end of the field. There is Aaron Yates running in 4th position right now, 2.5 seconds at the start finish line behind the leader. But as with 2 bikes in between the leader and Aaron Yates, the gaps from bike to bike to bike are not that great. And as you said, setting up the tires, setting up the bike for the tires and how they wear at the end of the race could be very key for Aaron Yates.
Well, you know, and today it's pretty warm. It's pretty clear. We had some rain here a little bit on Friday. It looked like it was going to rain yesterday. It was a little cooler. And so today the temperature is up and the track changes. You know, as far as how long the tires last, the feedback the riders get through the tires, the suspension, and through the bars and the seat of the pants. And so there's a little adjustment with that. As you can see, Josh Hayes just went by.
Holden and Pridmore battling with each other there.
It looks like, yeah, Holden and Hayner in 8th and 9th position, with Steve Rapp in front of them in 7th position. And then Josh Hayes on the Arian Honda, the first Honda, in the top 10.
John Hayner following the two Jordan Motorsports entries as we ride on board with Aaron Gobert. And we'll be back with more Superstock right after this. Speed's coverage of AMA road racing from Birmingham is brought to you by Yamaha. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. Situation up front still pretty much the same. Pair of Yamahas leading this one with the Suzukis of Jeff May and Aaron Yates in somewhat close behind. The gap has actually opened up a little bit between the two leaders and the next two. So Jamie Hacking just stalking along behind Jason DiSalvo right now. There you can see the gap back to Jeff May and Aaron Yates. Little moment there for May as Yates was able to capitalize and get by.
Well, this is going to be key part of the race for both Jeff May and Aaron Yates. Are they going to be able to run these two down? They're battling, which could affect their lap times, and they could really lose touch with the two leaders.
So Aaron Yates now taking over the role of the chaser, while Jeff May, who made just a little bit of a mistake there or had a little bit of a moment, has lost just enough ground to where Yates has taken over. And now with that, Aaron Yates has put his head down, trying to lose Jeff May and go after these two.
Well, looking up front here with Jamie Hacking and Jason DiSalvo. Jason has just been stalking Jamie Hacking so far in the race, kind of seeing where he's strong and where he might be able to make a move. But Jamie has not really made any mistakes. Has rode a great race so far. The key here, as we've talked about, just like in the Foreman Extreme race, is that if you can lead and control the race, it really benefits you once you get to traffic, because you never know how that's going to work out. If you're the rider in front and you can get through the traffic easier, that certainly can affect you. What do you got to add, Greg?
Since you were talking about this race for the lead, Freddie, I wanted to ask you the question about in practice when these riders are riding around. It's not always about just the fastest lap time on the same line. Don't a lot of these top riders try a variety of lines? And is Jason DiSalvo thinking in practice, I know I tried this line, so I'm going to try Jamie here?
Well, you know, it's twofold, Greg. You're exactly right. The first thing is they're trying to get their speed and figure out the fastest line to be able to carry momentum through these corners and get through. Then, of course, you're thinking about getting the bike turned and picked up, knowing it's a long race and you don't want to use up the edge of the tire on these big bikes. And then, of course, you're also thinking about where you're strong, getting a good drive off the corner. We talked about some of these corners in one line through. You can't always just wait till you're getting on the brakes to pass that rider in front of you when it's so close. You need a good drive off the previous corner. So it's kind of threefold. You're thinking about speed, being able to run consistent laps, save the tires, and then also thinking about where you're going to be able to make a pass.
So Jamie Hacking on the number 2 bike and Jason DiSalvo, teammates but rivals. The first, and you've said it very often, Freddie, the first man you want to beat is the guy on the other side of your tent. So the two Yamaha factory teammates in the Superstock class going after one another here at Barber Motorsports Park. Stay with us. Tomorrow night on Speed, don't miss Pinks. Can a minivan really outrun a Porsche? Sometimes drag racing is more than just horsepower. Pinks, lose the race, lose your ride. Tomorrow, 9 Eastern, only on Speed. On board with Aaron Gobert on the Progressive Direct onboard camera. Gobert running alone in 9th position right now, and the distance between himself and the rider in front about 2.5 seconds. So you might get a glimpse every now and then from that onboard shot of Jake Holden and Steve Rapp, who are having a nice little battle. But up front, things are still much as they were, although Jamie Hacking has now opened up some ground on Jason DiSalvo, who has lost some ground on Aaron Yates. So it could get fun here at the end.
Well, let's look at the lap times that last lap. Jason did drop his lap time a little bit, but the quickest rider on the track was Aaron Yates. We talked about earlier how he went out this morning on used tires and ran some quick lap times, and that could be something he worked on with the setup, getting that bike to work for the last third of the race. But Jamie Hacking has his head down. It looked like just a couple laps ago Jason DiSalvo was trying to make a pass on him coming down into turn 5, but has lost a little bit of ground on Jamie Hacking. Now he's getting the pressure from Aaron Yates. With about 6 laps to go, these next 3 laps are certainly going to be critical.
Aaron Yates looks very relaxed on the bike, and the strategy of working on a race setup and on older tires and all of that we talked about at the beginning of the show could very well pay off for Aaron Yates. He's close enough if his bike is good at the end and the others start to deteriorate a little bit.
Well, and also with this lead that Jamie Hacking has over him about almost 0.8 of a second. We'll see as they come across the start-finish line this lap. could benefit him certainly as they get to traffic. It just only takes 2 or 3 riders to get in between you that it open up 2 or 3 seconds pretty quickly. As they come by this time, the lead is about 0.6 of a second, and the lap times between the top 3 were all a minute 27.2 something, 2:83, 2:85, very close. So of course Jason DiSalvo and Aaron Yates knows that they cannot allow Jamie Hacking to get away with only 5 laps to go.
This is the exact same order in which they finished at Daytona, the opening round of the season. Jamie Hacking the winner over Jason DiSalvo and Aaron Yates and even Jeff May. So they have lined up in the very same order in which they finished at Daytona. And here at Barber Motorsports Park, you would expect a completely different result, perhaps, because of the nature of the track, but instead we're getting a cookie cutter. Hacking, DiSalvo, Yates, May in that order, with Josh Hayes rounding out the top 5.
Well, the cream always rises to the top, and certainly these are the guys going for the championship this year, and you would expect, and it makes it a great racing season. We're going to have some great battles.
And Josh Hayes likewise finished 5th at Daytona. So the exact same top 5 from the first round of the season is what we're looking at here, and everybody is gazing on. Up next here on Speed, it's the AMA Supersport Series. So stay tuned with us here as we bring you the 600 stock class, and that's coming up next. Right now we're watching the 1000cc stock class with leader Jamie Hacking, Jason DiSalvo, and Aaron Yates have pulled away from the rest of the field now. And it is Jeff May who is quite a ways back. Josh Hayes back further still. There are some decent battles going on a little bit deeper in the field, specifically just outside the top 10. But this is for the podium right here.
As we're watching here, the pressure that Jason DiSalvo is getting from Aaron Yates could push him along to try to close that gap. The last time that they came across the start finish line, it had closed down to about 0.4 of a second. With just 3 laps to go, this should be interesting to see. Jason there got in a little bit deep. Is that going to affect? And Aaron Yates closing down, trying to pass Jason for 2nd position as they come down the straightaway on the brakes.
Yates up inside, makes it down the Alabama coaster, past the Barber Motorsports Museum on the rider's left, and up the fastest part of the racetrack on the backstretch. There's the museum. There they go.
Now we'll have to see if Jason can come back at Aaron, or if this is going to give Aaron Yates the opportunity to try to close that gap down to Jamie Hacking with about 2.5 laps to go. As we talked earlier, Aaron has really rode a very good race. Textbook. His bike seems to, his Yoshimura Suzuki seems to be working very well.
They're going to get into traffic now, and that is going to be
the key, is who gets through the traffic cleanly and doesn't affect their momentum or speed. But Jamie Hacking is not letting Aaron Yates get down. In fact, he opened up that gap about 2 more tenths on that last lap. He has controlled this race from the beginning.
2 laps remain in the Repsol Lubricants Superstock race here at Barber Motorsports Park, with the leaders just approaching the tail end of the field here now. And so as Jamie Hacking will get the first look, Aaron Yates will be able to see what's going on. They've got CR Critter Getaway just in front of them right now on the Geico sponsored entry. And a couple of the riders are seeing the leaders coming up behind them. They've also noticed the move over flags being waved by the corner stations. And so they're sitting up. At least one of the riders sitting up as they come through the Alabama coaster. This is a tough section, and Jamie Hacking definitely getting held up a little bit there. That allowed the gap to be closed right up by Aaron Yates, and apparently Jason DiSalvo was hurt the most by the traffic. Now they both get by one rider. They're trying to work through it past a second one.
Well, that definitely hurt Jamie. We talked about that one line through that section as Aaron Yates looking up the inside, not quite close enough to try to make the pass. Jamie Hacking certainly would probably know that he might be there, but he'll know this next time by. He'll see on his board the gap has closed down to pretty much nothing. Now Aaron Yates coming through, getting ready for the last corner, see if he can get a good drive coming on the front straightaway.
Coming up to get the white flag. It'll be 1 lap to go. Yates having a look around the left side there just a little bit to get a clean shot down into turn number 1. Pick up his braking marker, and he does so. They bring it down into turn 2 now around the right side. Up the hill on the final lap with Jamie Hacking leading Aaron Yates, a former champion, leading the reigning champion.
Well, this is going to be critical to drive up the hill down into turn 5. Aaron Yates will definitely be looking up the inside on the brakes, but he's not close enough.
So he's going to have to be a little more patient as Jamie Hacking will now try to drive off Yates with a much tighter line. They're side by side. Yates lights up the back tire but still gets the drive. He pulls up next to Hacking and now he knows he's there. He goes by. Aaron Yates with the lead coming down the coaster now. Jamie Hacking, the way he was run down, will he have an answer at this point? It's hard to say. Yates with a big slide, Jamie with a bigger one.
Well, that was set up by a great drive coming out of 5. Jamie Hacking looking up the inside. Aaron Yates has been very strong through this part of the racetrack.
A real key to a fast lap at Barber Motorsports Park is being strong on this part of the racetrack. Aaron Yates now opening a gap, and if Jamie Hacking doesn't close it, he's not going to be close enough to make any kind of a move here in the final few corners.
And Aaron Yates runs a very tight line here, so Jamie Hacking cannot get up the inside. Now he's going to try to get up the inside coming into the last corner.
Lapper in front of him, though, but it doesn't seem as though it'll affect the outcome here. One goes one way, one the other. They both take the same side. Aaron Yates with the drive takes the win on the final lap with a pass just before the halfway mark on that last circuit. So Aaron Yates pleased with himself, obviously, and as well he should be. So Jamie Hacking will finish second, Jason DiSalvo third, and the Superstock race is in the books here at Barber Motorsports Park. We'll hear from the winner.